Hello everyone, in this video, we will be seeing part 18 of What If Naruto was the direct descendant of Sparda. So be sure to stick around until the end. Let's get started. Naruto stood tall in front of his ancestor with his grip on his swords tightening, while the giant demon that was his ancestor stood ready to attack at any given moment that the white-haired boy allowed him to take. Naruto knew that the challenge has just gotten 10 times as hard than previously when Sotachi was still a pussy. He wasn't scared that his skills weren't enough, quite the contrary, as he is extremely confident in his abilities to take down this vile and disgusting monstrosity before him. However, what was worrying him slightly was Kyuubi's power holding up long enough for him. He knew that he still had the ninth tail to use as a backup, but the problem was that he wasn't sure if it would even make a difference right now. He was barely able to match the man in his beginning evolutionary stage with just 8 tails, now that he is in his pre-evolution stage with his power going past even the god level. And then there was what would come after that stage. I just hope that I can make it through this and see my child when it's born. You hear that, God? Make sure I live through this. Naruto thought before he took a stance while Sotachi raised his arms and let out a low laugh. Come on, boy, are you going to attack me or not? I have a planet to destroy and I don't want to waste any more time on you, Sotachi said with Naruto smirking before he spoke. Don't worry, the main event truly starts now, Naruto said as he ran towards Sotachi with both swords scrapping against the ground, his speed still impressive even with all the damage he took during Sotachi's pre-evolutionary stage. Sotachi then brought up both hands and slammed his palms together before he opened his mouth to reveal an orb of black chakra within his mouth. Shadow Cannon! He called out with the orb bursting towards Naruto in a black blast, who dodged to the left and held back Rebellion, which glowed a bright red color. Naruto then held Rebellion in a reverse grip before extending his arm in an upward slash, sending a blast of chakra towards Sotachi that hit his right arm and caused some blood to fly out. Sotachi didn't even take notice of the wound, as it closed up a second after he took the hit and allowed Sotachi to bring his arm back to send a forward jab towards Naruto, who blocked it by crossing his swords to make intense. Sotachi's fist hit the swords, causing Naruto skid along the ground for a moment until he crossed both of his fingers, calling out, Shadow Clone Jutsu. The familiar call of his favorite jutsu was unheard by Sotachi, but the sight of it was, as the white-haired teen was engulfed in white smoke before multiple Narutos would appear with copies of Rebellion and Yamato in hand. All the clones flew towards the large demon in front of them, with each holding a Rasengan in their copies of the Devilbringer, causing the jutsu to take on its red form. Let's see you take down the multi-Devilbringer Rasengan, Naruto yelled as they flew towards Sotachi, who let out a small laugh before he spoke. Trust when I tell you this, boy, childish strategies won't work on me, he said as he raised his left arm and held it in front of him like he was defending himself. Shadow Barrier of the Damned, he yelled, causing the shadow below his waist to swirl around him before exploding upward in a spiraling barrier with the sound of screaming souls heard. Naruto and his clones were surprised by the sudden appearance of the barrier and were unable to dodge it, as they were swept into the vortex with all the clones exploding. Once all the clones were gone, the original was the only one that remained as he spun in the current of the barrier, the screams of the damned nearly deafening him. What the hell is this? It sounds as if he's using the souls that were absorbed into that well for his attack, Naruto thought before he felt the current suddenly stop, causing him to open his eyes and see that Sotachi stopped his technique. Well, that was before he felt the man slap him out of the air and slam into the ground, hard enough to skid along it for a couple of yards. Naruto coughed up blood upon feeling the pain course through his body, before he opened his eyes to find Sotachi preparing another one of those shadow cannon techniques. The white-haired teen immediately got back to his feet before he quickly focused as much chakra as he could enter his Devilbringer, causing a huge celestial arm to appear beside him, before Naruto sent a forward fist, causing the massive hand to nail Sotachi in his masked face. Sotachi's body revered from the recoil of the attack, causing his head to fall backwards for a moment, until it came back with the blast leaving Sotachi's mouth and launching itself towards Naruto. The blast hit the white-haired teen's location dead on, causing a small tremor on the ground and smoke to build up around the white-haired Hokage. Sotachi then watched as the smoke cleared to reveal Naruto standing with Rebellion stabbed into the ground and 2 deep craters both in front of him and behind him. Sotachi looked on in confusion, until he thought on it for a moment. He must have grabbed it after he punched me with his Devilbringer, and then used it to slice the blast in half. Very ingenious, Sotachi thought before he brought up his right arm and started to focus more of his power into his palm. You are very strong, my boy, but you are nowhere near the level that I am at now, Sotachi said as he brought his arm upward, causing the shadows below him to explode upward before forming an orb. Sotachi then slammed his palms together and formed a few seals before he extended both arms to his side. The giant orb then shot downward onto Sotachi and consumed him in the shadows before it separated itself into 5 long blasts that hit the ground before the white-haired teen. Naruto brought up his right arm to block the miniature light show that came after the blast hit the ground, before he looked up to find 5 copies of Sotachi's beginning evolutionary stage standing before him with copies of the Force Edge in hand. What the hell is this? One ugly bastard is hard enough, but 5? Naruto said, as the demon's last attack was enough to take a lot out of him, but now he had to take things further with these 5 copies in front of him. Naruto sighed as he knew what he had to do. He needed the 9th tail and fast. Kyuubi, I need it, Naruto thought in his mind with the fox nodding its head before sending out the next portion of its power into the white-haired teen. Naruto felt the sudden rush of energy in his body before a 9th tail appeared behind him, causing his power levels to not only return to their original level but increase substantially. Naruto marveled once again at the powers of the fox, and felt very grateful for having it still. It looks like the 9th tail's replenishing abilities already kicked in, but that still doesn't mean I can slack off, Naruto thought to himself before he saw the Sotachis take a stance before charging towards him with the white-haired boy following suit. Lee versus Jugo. Lee and Jugo stood before each other with their ultimate techniques, ready to decide the outcome of their own fate, with Lee's already been decided due to his usage of the last gate. Jugo, on the other hand, was hopeful that his technique would defeat the white-haired teens easily, but he also knew something that the white-haired teen didn't know, and that was him dying as well. He already used up so much chakra with his previous attacks and techniques combined, but now that he used this last technique, all of his chakra was taken out, and he was now using raw chakra taken from his life force. He knew that even if he survived Lee's jutsu, it would only allow him to live another 10 minutes before he would draw his final breath. So why would he go so far as to use a move that he knew would kill him? It was mainly for the respect of his greatest opponent. He wanted for Lee to remain his greatest opponent before he died. He knew that deep down in his heart, it would make him queasy to think of someone matching Lee's abilities and didn't wish to tarnish such a great fight by continuing on and fighting a different opponent. He also wanted to make sure that this is the place that he dies, on the battlefield in which a true warrior should die. So in a sense, TS was the perfect option to him, and he would gladly take it. He then felt a small smile on his face when he saw his move near Lee's. Yeah, this is truly perfect, he thought before he yelled while unleashing everything in his body had into his jutsu. Lee watched as their techniques grew closer to the other, while thinking back on everything that he has gone through in his life and how good it's been. He thought back to when he first met Guy, Neji, Tenten, and Naruto, to when he gained his powers and was reborn, to when he met and fell in love with Kin, to when they had sex for the first time, then second, third, fourth, fifth, etc., but more importantly, back to when his daughter was born, and how he promised her that he would never leave her side. He felt a tear go down his cheek when that thought came to him, as he was now going against the promise he made to his own daughter. He was saddened that he would never get to see her grow up, teach her how to fight, go to the academy, meeting friends of her own, becoming a shinobi, getting married one day, and him meeting his grandchild. However, he knew that she would be in good hands with her mother and idiot second cousin on her side to watch her and protect her. He then felt a smile come to his face. Yeah, it's been a good life, he thought to himself as let loose a scream to unleash all of his energy into his attack. Both attacks neared each other and were soon to clash, with both shinobi holding out hand signs to keep their jutsu's momentum going. However, that is until their attacks clashed and would soon decide on the winner. Lee's dragon and Jugo's tiger clashed head-to-head with both beasts trying to push the other back with the explosive force of the creator's powers clashing against one another. Come on, keep fighting, Jugo said, as he saw his tiger continue to push back on Lee's dragon, with Lee struggling to uphold his strength to will his technique. No, I refuse to lose here. I must win, I must win, I must win, Lee shouted in his head with determination evident in his face. But unbeknownst to them, Lee soon began to take on a faint glow of silver around his body. Lee then gritted his teeth together before making a final yell with the silver glow bursting into a silver spiritual aura with Lee's eyes glowing bright silver as well. Lee then let loose one more mighty roar as the dragon quickly won the bout and blasted through the head of the tiger, causing it to explode outwardly, and allow Lee's dragon to drill through it and head straight for a defenseless Jugo, who surprisingly had a small smile on his face. "It looks like I get my wish," Jugo thought as he closed his eyes to await his fate. "Now scream my eternal life!" Lee yelled with the dragon screaming before it hit Jugo and caused a massive explosion of black smoke to overtake the area. Lee soon staggered on his after the use of his technique, and the shockwave that came after the move was used. Lee then began to pant hard as he stood waiting for the smoke to clear and hopefully reveal him to be the victor. But while that was going on, Lee felt that something was off. He didn't feel the hard effects of the fatigue that can after using the gates. In fact, he felt some of his strength return to him for some odd reason. He looked at this puzzled for a moment, until he looked at his hands and saw the aura around his body, causing his eyes to widen slightly. My true powers must have awakened finally, he thought to himself as he felt the aura heal his body from the damage dealt to him by the 8 gates, and soon felt a joy well up inside him. Like I can keep my promise, he thought before he heard the sound of some coughing, forcing him to look in the direction of the smoke, and saw the upper torso of Jugo looking at him with blood leaking from his mouth. This sight made him sigh deeply, as that was his last technique that was also the strongest one in his arsenal. He truly felt as if there was nothing he could do to win now, but some gave his attention back to Jugo, who spoke loud enough for Lee to hear. Jugo coughed loudly before he spoke. What was that last move you used? It looked like AAC, Krablas, he said with Lee shaking his head, but was inwardly smiling at the prospects of his technique being confused as a ninja technique. It's more of a combat move that's ninjutsu-based, with the focus mainly being around an attack that focuses chakra into a single punch, along with a well-focused amount of air pressure used to help the technique's lethalness. When the air pressure is then focused and condensed into a single area that once it strikes, it will cause heavy explosion and deal massive impact to the surrounding area. The main purpose of this move is that it can only be used as an extreme last resort technique that sees all options of survival at 0. The reason why is because it must be used along with the Gate of Death to bring in the necessary chakra needed to make this technique as lethal as it can be, he said with Jugo laughing to himself before he spoke again. I'm glad that I was able to take you far enough to using you last resort. Thank you, that was a great fight, Jugo said with the smoke fully clearing to reveal that everything below his torso was blown to bits except for the one leg he was standing on. That is until he coughed loudly enough for more blood to leak out of his mouth and causing him to fall over, drawing his last breath. Lee saw this and ran over to check his vitals, only to see that the man had indeed died. Lee then stood up and placed his hand over his heart to conduct a silent prayer for the man's life. While all this went on, Gaara appeared on scene in a swirl of sand, his usual stoic expression plastered on his face. I trust that your fight went well? Gaara said, surveying the area, and was quite surprised at the amount of damage that was given to the land, and how the white-haired teen was still standing without a lot of damage done to him. Yeah, it did. This guy was so strong that he forced me to use my strongest technique as well as opening the 8th gate. I will never forget his name, Jugo, he said with Gaara nodding. I believe that it would be best if we give him a proper burial, Gaara said before he opened the cork on his gourd and had the sand come out slowly before it encased Jugo's body from head to toe. Gaara then commanded the sand to harden, causing it to become as hard as stone and giving Jugo a proper grave for him to rest peacefully. Lee then grabbed a rock and placed it in front of the grave before building a memorial for Jugo while encrypting, "Here lays Jugo the steam vent, a shinobi that gave all that he held to fight his greatest battle." Lee then gave one more prayer for Jugo before he turned to Gaara, who called forth a sand platform. Come on, we need to go find Naruto and see if he needs any help, Gaara said with Lee nodding before he jumped onto the platform, which Gaara then lifted off the ground with but a raise of his hands. The platform then took off into the skies, while Lee looked back to the memorial he left for Jugo. Rest well, Jugo, he thought as the memorial left his sight. Naruto versus Sotachi. I truly hate this motherfucker, Naruto said as he hopped into the air before he slammed both feet onto the shoulders of a Sotachi clone, causing said clone to fall onto its back before its head was stabbed by Yamato before being split in half. Naruto then looked up to find 3 more clones still standing with the decapitated body of the first one he killed, lying on the ground. He sighed as this took him a long time to kill this clone after easily taking out the first one, which was only because the others tried to gang up on him and take him out. He was beyond pissed at this point, seeing as how he was fighting with Kyuubi's full power, yet these clones were pains in the asses than the original. While he knew that he could easily take these clones out, it still left the damn original with a chance at getting him off guard. However, if he focused his efforts on the original, then the clones would get more involved in slowing him down to allow Sotachi an easy kill. Plus, I still need to save my devil trigger if I want to properly take him out. Naruto thought to himself before a small smirk came to his face. I guess I gotta take this shit head on. Naruto thought as he charged with both swords in hand, as he charged towards the 3 clones, which followed suit. Naruto neared the first clone and blocked an upward strike with Rebellion before taking hold of Yamato in a reverse grip and slashing the clone across his stomach. The clone bled through the open wound, causing his strength to falter long enough for Naruto to spin and hit the clone with the pointed end of Rebellion. Naruto then spun hard on his left leg before hopping into the air to perform a corkscrew spin, the end result being the back of his right heel connecting with the back of the clone's neck. Naruto then stabbed both swords into the ground, before he crossed his arms with the other 2 clones approaching him by his left and right side. Naruto then aimed both of his hands towards the clones, and called out Serenity, sending the blast of chakra towards the clones that launched them away from the white-haired teen. The white-haired teen then brought his right arm in front of his body to catch a punch from the clone he kicked into the ground. He then hefted the clone into the air before summoning the Devil Bringer's celestial arm to grab hold of the clone's leg. He quickly tightened his grip around its leg before proceeding to slam the clone on the ground before he spun around and chucked the clone into the air. Naruto then grabbed hold of Yamato before he jumped after the clone, which continued to sail in the air until it began to fall to the ground head first. That is, until Naruto appeared behind him and cleanly separated the clone's torso and abdomen with a hard slash from Yamato. 3 down, 2 to go, Naruto said as he landed on the ground in a low crouch, before bringing the sword back up to block another slash attempt made by one of the clones. Both swordsmen struggled for a moment before Naruto gave slack and hopped over the clone as the other one appeared to where he once stood with a wide-angle slash that would have cut Naruto in half had he stayed there. The white-haired teen then executed another corkscrew spin before planting his feet on the ground with the Devil Bringer held behind his back. Naruto then sent it forward palm strike to the other clones, which in turn caused the same celestial arm to appear and knocked both clones into each other. Naruto then brought out Kyuubi in his celestial form, and tightened his grip on Yamato, with the figure doing the same with his sword. Naruto then charged towards the clones calling out, "Showdown!" The clones had no idea what hit them, as they were bombarded with multiple slashes and stabs from Naruto's sword before one of them fell with a mighty slash across the torso. The final clone was then hit with an upper towards the air with Naruto following closely behind before unleashing another torrent of slashes onto this clone before grabbing hold of his head and then slamming him face first into the ground. Naruto removed his hands off the top of the clone's head and sighed in relief as he saw that he defeated the clones, but quickly saw the clones all turn into black smoke and travel back to the location Sotachi once resided in and rebuilt itself into his giant form with smoke now escaping his mouth. "You seem to be getting stronger with each passing second, Naruto. I would say that if you were any stronger then you could very well have taken my life by now," Sotachi said, praising Naruto's skill, who only scowled as he pointed Yamato towards him. "I'm getting sick of your bullshit, you damn giant jar of mayonnaise. Come on and fight me for real," Naruto said, with Sotachi laughing briefly with something occurring. The moment he started laughing, his forehead began to bleed profusely before it cleared with a vertical ice silt appearing on his forehead and glowing brightly, causing Naruto to look at this in confusion. "You still don't get it, do you? I am still gathering the true power," Sotachi said, with the silt starting to glow with cracks beginning to appear on his body, while his laughter continued to erupt. "This power is continuously giving me strength, as it has now taken on my vision, and has finally understood the full purpose and vision of my goals. It now wants nothing more to ensure that I achieve my goal and take out all that oppose me," he said, with the cracks now all over his body, causing Naruto to look on in boredom. "Didn't you already do this power-up shit already? I swear if you keep getting these power-ups, I'm going to put a fucking bullet through my skull," he said, with Sotachi laughing again. "You don't have to worry about the bullet, for I'm going to send my claw through your skull for you," he said before he fully exploded with chakra before reappearing with a completely different look than his last one. His body has now shrunk to a more manageable level, but was still just as tall as nearly 7 feet. His body took on the previous evolution form where he resembled Sparda, while it incorporated some of the remaining portions from his previous form with the mask and skin tone. Except this time the horns were sharper, and he had 3 sets of long bat wings trailing down his back. In the demon's hand was the force-edged sword, that now maintained a dark red glow around the sword, with sparks of red lightning surrounding the sword. Sotachi could now feel that this is indeed his final transformation, as he could now hear the voices of the souls that he absorbed, and could feel their power raging within him, almost begging him to draw the blood of the innocent and let them drink of it. This power, the magnificent power that was only spoke of in legend, is now mine and mine alone. I have achieved the ultimate power that surpasses all the stature of a demon. I have become a god, Sotachi said as he laughed manically, while Naruto scoffed loudly. You still look like something I produce after 9 a.m., Naruto said while Sotachi laughed again. Perhaps all this talk is not enough to truly show you how great my power truly is. If I am to make a believer out of you, then I must prove it, Sotachi said before he disappeared in a blink, before appearing above the white-haired teen in a flash, causing Naruto's eyes to widen fast. Holy shit, Naruto said before he dodged to the side, as Sotachi slammed the force edge into the ground, causing a large crater to appear under the man's sword. Naruto then brought Yamato out, and immediately blocked a slash attempt by Sotachi, but was unable to block the follow-up punch that caused Naruto's jaw to nearly crack in two, had it not been for Kyuubi's chakra to protect him. However, while the impact was stopped slightly, the force remained as it slammed Naruto into the ground for a few bounce, before coming to a complete stop. Well, not before the teen rolled to the side when Sotachi appeared again, his fist causing a large crater on the ground. I see that you have become quite good at detecting my power, but now let's see how you fare when I turn up the heat, Sotachi said as he raised all 6 of his bat wings before opening them with the front set pointing upward, the middle set staying centered, and the bottom set pointing downward. 6 balls of black chakra appeared on the tip of the wings, while Sotachi formed several seals before forming a triangle in his hands. Shadow release, shadow devastation blast, he called out as all 7 of the orbs sent a blast of chakra at the white-haired teen, who formed several seals before calling out, Wind release barrier, shield of twisters, he yelled as he exhaled a large breath of wind that began to swirl around Naruto like a twister. The blast of shadows hit the barrier spot on, causing a massive explosion to partake afterwards while covering Naruto from view. Naruto stood in the cloud panting hard as he bent down on one knee coughing hard and trying to catch his breath, knowing well enough how hard he would have to work just to get another breather. Damn it, this guy just went from being a pussy to being the shit in no less than 10 seconds. I can't let up for a second or else he'll take me out, Naruto said to himself before he heard a voice speak behind him. Your second is up, boy, Sotachi said with Naruto turning behind his back only to feel the blade of Sotachi's go across his chest. Naruto coughed loudly as he grabbed hold of the wound, while Sotachi merely laughed to himself while he held up his sword to strike Naruto again. As he brought the sword down, a loud clinging sound was heard all over Demon World, but it wasn't by Naruto that which the sword was blocked. The sword held the force edge with little resistance that was surrounded by lightning. With the hand holding the sword was that a tall raven-haired teen with hair going past his shoulders and over his face, his red eyes with comma-like marks held within them glazing at Sotachi. Sotachi was in complete shock as he gazed at the person before him, who used the opportunity to push him away. How are you alive? I flooded my claws with enough demon chakra to prevent the wounds on your stomach from healing. How are you alive? He said with the figure placing the sword on his back. You should have checked to make sure, he said with Naruto smirking to himself. Welcome to the party, Sasuke, he said with the Uchiha clan member turning his eye to his rival hated enemy. Naruto, are you kidding me right now? You mean to tell me that you couldn't beat this guy by now? He said with Naruto sighing before he spoke. Well, I was about to until you had to go and fuck it up for me, he said before he burst into a puff of smoke with a second one sounding off, and the real Naruto walking into the area, the cloak of Kyuubi, not visible. Sotachi's eyes widened as he saw that this Naruto held a stronger power level than the one he was about to kill. I was fighting a clone this entire time? He thought while looking at his hand in wonder. What's going on? I should have killed this boy by now, and I should have easily killed Sasuke. How can this be? Sotachi yelled while darkness began to build up around him, while black ooze left his body. The teen cages turned to see Sotachi's body leaking black ooze while his power level was growing wild. You two have angered me for the last time. This time I will kill you, he said while the ooze leaking from his body began to take shape around him, and slowly turned him into a black glutinous monster, with multiple arms sporting from its body in various places, standing before the two teens. While the teens watched this go on, they only looked on in boredom. "I hope you don't truly see him as your main event? After all, we still have a score to settle," Sasuke said as Naruto shook his head. "Not really. I was hoping to see him use his full power to maybe get a challenge, but apparently he got too arrogant to notice how weak he truly is," Naruto said as he and Sasuke began to walk towards the monster with both of their hands placed on their respective sword. "Let's say we take out the trash," Sasuke said with Naruto smirking up a storm. "I thought you would never ask," Naruto said as he and Sasuke charged towards Sotachi, ready to end his pitiful existence. Human world. The Konoha and Suna shinobi charged to Otogakure, their pace staying the same as it was when they first began their quest to find their leader and ally. Hinata and Neji ran together with Sakura and Tenten, as Temari stated she wanted to search for Gaara. As they ran, they were surprised to see that Lee had yet to show up, and it was even more surprising that nobody has seen Lee anywhere. "Where's Lee? I thought he was with you," Neji asked Tenten only to see her shake her head. "No. I was busy helping our forces fight off the rest of Sound and helping Sakura fight off her opponent," Tenten said with Sakura nodding as she was taking it a little easy, due to the pain of fighting Karin like she did. "I can't believe how strong those Sound shinobi are. I barely survived my fight," Sakura said with Neji nodding his head. "I think they were their secret weapons that Sound was banking on to get the victory. All their powers remind me so much of Naruto's weapons," Neji said as he finally understood that Suigetsu's powers were all thanks to that weird trident he wielded before he died. "But how could that happen? Naruto-kun had to kill demons to get his, and he even stated that only he was able to get them like that," Hinata said, as she remembered her future husband's description of his powers, and how he was able to use them. "I don't know, but I'm sure it's got something to do with that Sotachi guy," Tenten said, as she would never forgive that man for nearly killing her man. "Guys, look," Hinata said as she pointed forward, causing everyone to look in that direction to see the large structure that is the Temen Nigru with the Devil's Eclipse in the perfect position behind the tower. "Wow, look at that eclipse, it looks so exotic and dark," Sakura said, as she could feel the power coming off of the moon even from her current location. "I don't know what that is, but I have this feeling that is where Naruto went," Neji said with the rest of the group nodding their head. As they continued running towards the Temen Nigru, none of them noticed the Devil Eclipse starting to slowly shift away from the atmosphere. Naruto versus Sotachi. The two teen cages ran together in almost perfect unison, like they spent many years fighting together side by side. Naruto was the first to reach Sotachi's form, and unleashed a large stinger attack onto the underside of the creature's belly, before wickedly moving the sword upward and causing a huge cut to appear that quickly healed. Sotachi then raised one arm to squash the white-haired teen into the ground, but he wouldn't get the opportunity, as his arm was sliced off by Sasuke, using Alastor's lightning to create a longer reach. Sasuke then appeared in front of Sotachi, with Alastor held high in the air, with lightning bursting from the blade. "Chidori Saber!" Sasuke called out as he slashed at Sotachi, allowing all the lightning currents to travel all throughout the body of the black monster before them. Naruto appeared in front of Sotachi with his Devil Bringer holding a Rasengan, slamming it into the body of Sotachi, and causing the monster to be launched backwards but stayed on the ground. Sotachi then roared as he unleashed a multitude of tentacles from the underside of his body towards Naruto and Sasuke, who took several slashes at them before they backflipped away from the spot, seeing as how more tentacles appeared. Sotachi then pulled himself towards the teen's location before landing firmly on the ground. He then roared loudly as multiple tentacles erupted from his back before fusing together to form large arms that was launched towards the teens. Naruto and Sasuke looked towards each other before they silently nodded towards one another before running towards the arms and jumping onto them as they charged towards Sotachi's body, who saw this and unleashed another torrent of tentacles from the arms themselves. "Come on, you can do better than that," Naruto sighed as he slashed at the tentacles, while Sasuke merely destroyed them with a whip he made out of lightning. Sotachi roared loudly before suddenly bringing up his arms to send Naruto and Sasuke flying into the air, who weren't fazed by the sudden movement and landed firmly on the ground. Naruto and Sasuke then charged at Sotachi head-on, who then slammed his arms on the ground and caused multiple tentacles to pop out of his arms. The teens were once more unfazed, as Naruto wasted little time, and brought out Yamato and sliced through the tentacles like a hot knife through butter. Sasuke meanwhile was going through a set of seals before grabbing hold of his right hand and closing both of his eyes. He waited for a moment before he opened his left eye to reveal that he just activated his Mangekyu, while focusing some of his chakra into it, causing blood to leak from his eye. "Naruto!" he yelled with the teen Hokage suddenly stopping his run and bent down on one knee, allowing Sasuke to use him as stepping stone to hop into the air and give him enough elevation to use his next technique. "Blaze release Chidori Spear," Sasuke called out as he sent his right index and middle fingers forward, launching a sword made of lightning towards Sotachi, which priced the top of his back, causing him to scream out in pain and some of his black goo to leak from his back. Sasuke's fingers then erupted in the familiar black flames of Amaterasu, that then traveled down the lightning jutsu and hit Sotachi's back, causing him to roar at the intense pain of the fire now burning on his back. Naruto then blazed through several seals before calling out, "Demonic Fire Release, Black Dragon Jutsu!" He called out with the searing hot black flames leaving his mouth, and flew towards Sotachi and hit him dead on, causing a massive scream to resound from Sotachi as the flames fused together and did double the damage of what Amaterasu could do alone. Naruto stood with his hands in his pockets while Sasuke stood by his side, looking on in slight amusement. "Kinda makes me regret not bringing marshmallows for this glorious fire," Naruto said with Sasuke nodding his head. "Wouldn't matter though, the flames would cause them to melt far too fast," Sasuke said as they prepared the use of their next move, while hearing the screams of Sotachi in pain. "You bastards will pay for this," he said before he jumped out of the flames to pounce on Naruto and Sasuke, despite all the pain he was in by the flames. He landed on the ground with his tentacles coming out on all sides trying to grab hold of the teens, only for them to be sliced off with very little effort. Naruto sliced through another tentacle before charging towards the black monster and stabbing Rebellion into his underbelly. Sasuke did the same with his Sharingan eyes helping him dodge with absolute perfection until he himself stabbed Alastor into Sotachi's underbelly. "I think it's time that we've ended this little charade, don't you think?" Naruto said as he held up his right hand ready to form a Rasengan. "Yes, I think that you've entertained us long enough," Sasuke said as he held up his left hand and was prepared to bring out a Chidori. "Don't do it!" Sotachi yelled as he tried to twist his body around and was successful in getting Naruto and Sasuke off. Both teen Kages landed on firm feet before they returned to their swords and grabbed hold of the handles. Both Naruto and Sasuke jumped into the air with a firm grip on the swords, slicing through Sotachi's body like a hot knife through butter, and appeared above him with their last techniques in hand. "Rasengan! Chidori!" both teens yelled as they slammed their respective techniques onto the back of Sotachi. The black monster screamed in pain as he felt the techniques attack his body. Both teens hopped off his body and landed on both sides, as the gelatinous monster decomposed, with Sotachi reappearing in his human form with the force edge hovering in the air. Sotachi panted hard before looking towards the force edge with angry eyes that would have intimidated a small kitten with ease. "Why didn't you give me the full power force edge? Why would you refuse to give me all that is needed? Am I not worthy?" Sotachi shouted with Naruto speaking up. "It's because the power never saw you as a worthy holder of it. Its strength is supposed to elevate you past that of the god class. You only reach a fraction of that power," Naruto said with Sasuke nodding his head. "The reason why that weapon didn't work for you is because a demon cannot handle the full power given. The power was in need of a perfect balance, and you failed to deliver that, so the power of the weapon never awakened. In truth, you were only using the force edge's power," Sasuke said as Sotachi looked on in shock before he ran towards the force edge and grabbed hold of its handle. "No, I will not accept this. I have the power of a god," he yelled right before he felt the force of two blades stabbing into his body from front and back. "You can never become a god, you're only a mere demon," Sasuke said before pulling the sword out. "Becoming a god is only a title in which you earn, but in the end you'll never trump the real one," Naruto said as he pulled out his. Sotachi coughed loudly as he took a few steps forward before he began to decompose into black dust and vansi in the wind, his screams echoing around Demon World. Naruto and Sasuke looked at this spectacle in amazement before they both shrugged their shoulders. "Looks like he's gone, good riddance," Naruto said before he turned around to prepare to leave, only to stop when he heard the voice of Sasuke. "Naruto, wait," Sasuke said, causing Naruto to turn around. "What do you want now, Sasuke? If we don't hurry, then the portal will close and we'll be stuck here," he said with Sasuke shaking his head with his hands reaching for Alastor. "This place is the perfect setting for our battle, don't you think?" he said with Naruto smirking to himself as he reached for Rebellion. "That's right, this is the perfect place for our battle," Naruto said as he drew Rebellion. "We have fought several times and each time there has not been an absolute winner," Sasuke said with his Sharingan swirling before becoming the Mangekyo. We have an absolute hate for each other that will drive us to the brink of destruction, Naruto said with Kyuubi's red appearing in his eyes, and the fox's celestial form appearing. We have to find out now, to know which one is stronger, Naruto and Sasuke said in unison. And that one shall be me. In the human world, the combined forces of both Konoha and Suna charged towards Otogakure, where the remainder of Sotachi's forces remained in case they were to be called into battle. But little did they know their leader has long since deserted them just to gain the ultimate power of a god. The Temin Nigru kept its luminous image as a grand structure uniting the human world with the demon world, with the great devil's eclipse remaining behind it in a glorious image to uphold. This was the sight that came to the eyes of one man as he descended from the portal to demon world and landed flat on his back, gazing towards the night sky. He gazed so peacefully at the sky that he felt as if he could burn this image forever in his mind, already knowing that this would be the last time he would ever see it. His plans have been ruined by those two punks, and have even stripped him of nearly all of his powers in the process, bringing him back to being the shadow of his former self, a mere obsolete clone of the original. However, regardless of all this, he decided not to bother with trying to get his revenge, as he was unable to do so now with the current power level. He decided to embark on a different journey. He decided that he would take over the great land mass before him and become its new ruler. He decided on leaving this wretched planet and go towards a place where he could both rule and live out the remaining years or days he had left in his meaningless life. He, Kazama Sotachi, would go to the devil's eclipse. Those brats better be glad that I'm sparing them for my return, or else I would unleash a mighty onslaught of destruction on them, he said as he raised his hands to use the last bit of chakra he had in his body to use a simply technique to bring him to his new home. A platform of shadows appeared under his feet, and that slowly began to ascend towards the devil eclipse, which was now leaving the atmosphere due to his ninjutsu canceling itself upon his defeat. Sotachi then looked towards the demon portal while thinking upon the two half-devils that are no doubt fighting right now, causing him to inwardly smirk. It's a shame that I won't be able to see the glorious battle those two will have, but I must board the eclipse before it leaves. Farewell, Earth. I'm sorry you will never become the dream that I imagined for you, he said as the platform was high enough into the air. The platform then transformed into a cocoon that consumed his body before slowly evolving into a black phoenix, which screeched loudly before opening its wings and began to fly towards the great devil's eclipse in blinding speeds. If anyone watched this spectacle, all they would see is a black bird leaving the Earth's atmosphere and slowly vanish in the sky, no one ever knowing of its destination. Demon world. Naruto and Sasuke glared into each other's eyes, while standing several yards away from each other, both hands holding onto their respective swords with hard grips on the handles. The childhood rivals knew full well how important this fight was for the winner, as the winner would get the chance to walk out of this place alive, and the loser will forever roam this empty and desolate plain known as the demon world. Forever cursed to fight for survival against the demons that inhabit this place, until the day comes that death knocks on their doors. Naruto didn't mind that idea of a life, as that meant that he could fight an eternity within this plane, but at the same time it meant that he couldn't see his child grow up or bring his clan back. Plus, that also meant that the girls had to go find new lovers, and he doubted they would because he was the best one to satisfy them. Sasuke's mind also thought about the possible future of roaming this empty plane to fight for an eternity, except he still had his personal goal of finding and killing his older brother. He knew that he should have done that several years ago, but he was hard at work training for this day, the day that he fights and kills his hated rival. Who would have thought that this place would hold our final battle, Sasuke said, with Naruto shrugging his shoulders. I don't think the thought ever crossed my mind since I'm too concerned about being Hokage to even bother thinking about you, Naruto said, with Sasuke chuckling to himself. I see you're still the same cocky kid from the academy, Sasuke said as he looked into the sky. So how are we going to do this? He asked with Naruto pulling out a simple kunai and held it before the Uchiha, who got the gist of what he was implying and did the same thing. We toss these at each other, and when they clash, that's when we get this started, Naruto said with Sasuke nodding his head. I got no problem with that, let's just hurry this up so I can kill you, Sasuke said with Naruto shaking his head in humor. Oh Sasuke, when will you ever get it? Naruto said as both he and the Uchiha tossed their knives towards one another in a straight and normal path. The kunais continued on their path towards their opponents, with said opponents still gazing into the other's eyes, not daring to move an inch. The kunais then clanged together and was knocked out of the air before stabbing the ground, Naruto and Sasuke already near each other with their swords in the air. "Stinger!" they both called out as they each sent stabs towards each other, and each grabbing hold to the tip of their opponent's respective swords. Both boys smirked at each other as they tried to overpower the other, while driving their swords deeper into the palms of their hated enemy. "I must commend you on your efforts, since I never would have thought that pathetic sword you hold could cut this deep," Sasuke said with Naruto's smirk, only growing deeper as he still held onto the blade. "I should be praising you and your ability to read my movements with those loser eyes of yours. Just goes to show how weak you and your clan truly are," Naruto said as he pushed forward, digging his sword in a little deeper into Sasuke's palm before pulling it out sudden, causing Sasuke to grimace, but also doing the same thing in pulling out Alastor. Naruto and Sasuke then clashed swords again, but this time followed with a rapid succession of slashes that were so fast that they were literally invisible. Sasuke ducked under a high slash attempt, before sending an upward strike towards Naruto's abdomen, but was blocked by the white-haired teen's left boot slamming it onto the ground and allowed Naruto to send a right heel to Sasuke's face, which he blocked with his forearm. The raven-haired teen then grabbed hold of Naruto's leg before tossing him into the air. Naruto flew in the air for a second, until he flipped in the air and landed firmly on the ground before bringing up his sword to block an attempt by Sasuke to slice him in half. The Uchiha then attempted to lock eyes with Naruto, who caught on fast and closed his eyes. A second later, a white plane came over both of the boys' body before it brought apart. Naruto then shoved Sasuke away from him before he backflipped away from the Otakage, before he suddenly spun in the air and sent a wide-angle slash behind him, slicing Sasuke behind his back. Naruto then raised a one-handed Tora sign and called out Kai, causing the plane around him to shift slightly with the Sasuke he killed turning into a pile of dead snakes that littered the ground. Naruto then pointed Rebellion behind his back with a scowl on his face before he spoke up. "Get the hell out of here, jackass, you know that Genjutsu doesn't work on me?" Naruto said with the sounds of laughter sounding off with Sasuke appearing on the ground with a dark smirk on his face. "You truly are a challenge doe, but it won't matter, you won't win after I use this," he said as his Sharingan spun around for a moment before becoming the Manjakyu Sharingan. Naruto only scoffed before his eyes turned red with Kyuubi's celestial form appearing behind him, his devil bringer also appearing. "You are truly full of it, Team. I'm going to enjoy beating you," Naruto said as they both stared off, before Naruto suddenly sent a forward grab with the devil bringer, causing the celestial hand to extend towards the Uchiha, who jumped back to dodge the attack but before he would soon come to regret the decision as Naruto appeared before him, after going through a set of seals. "Demonic fire release, Black Dragon Jutsu," he shouted, exhaling the familiar black fire dragon at the airborne Uchiha. The technique hit him dead on, causing a small explosion that obscured all view of his enemy for a short moment, until it cleared to reveal a non-injured Sasuke standing with a set of ribs made of chakra on his side. Sasuke then looked towards the white-haired teen with an amused look within them as the skeleton vanished, causing him to chuckle slightly at the prospect. "Would you look at that, you caused me to reveal one of my secret weapons already in the fight," Sasuke said with Naruto laughing to himself before he spoke. "So you do know the Susanoo technique. I always thought that Itachi was the only person to ever hold that," he said with Sasuke laughing again. "Please don't patronize me with something as oblique as Itachi. I have already surpassed him," he said with Naruto scoffing. "I'll believe that when you actually kill him. Until then, let's go," Naruto said as he charged towards the Uchiha, who laughed to himself again before he too charged towards the white-haired teen. Human world. On the other side, the Konoha shinobi were still heading towards the location that held the Tenmin Nigru, which was still keeping the portal to Demon World open even though the Devil's Eclipse was slowly leaving the atmosphere. The three Kage shinobi now stood on the very roof of the great edifice, staring into the sky that held the portal into the world on the other side. "It's amazing how the most dangerous things in power can be the most beautiful in appearance," Tsunade remarked as she looked into the beautiful display of lights surrounding the Demon World portal, along with the light shining through the portal itself. "I still can't believe that the Gaki was foolish enough to go into that world without any backup," Jiraiya said, inwardly praying that his god's son would make it back in one piece. "I can understand how you guys feel about Naruto-kun jumping into a predicament like this, but he will be fine, just have a little faith in him," Hiruzen said, but was also praying inwardly for his surrogate grandson. All three Kage-level shinobi arrived barely a few minutes ago, after seeing a strange black creature fly towards that strange demonic moon. They didn't know what it was, nor did they truly care, as the only thing that mattered to them was getting Naruto back home safe. As the three shinobi gazed at the portal above, below them was another battle between the remaining forces of Oto and the alliance of Konoha and Suna. However, they didn't even bother to notice, as all that was on their mind was waiting for Naruto to return. Demon World. The state of Demon World was in a current upheaval of destruction, as both teams ransacked throughout the entire plane of their battlefield. Neither shinobi failed to take their eyes off each other, knowing that the first one that does will lose their lives in the process. As such, neither one was ready to give up and merely turned up the intensity that they were dishing out to the other. Sparks sailed through the air of Demon World, as both cages traded back and forth strikes from their own respective swords, before they both appeared before each other with their swords clashed together in a test of strength. Both Naruto and Sasuke gritted their teeth in the attempt of pushing back their opponent, but would only result in a stalemate between each other. Sasuke then looked up and smirked at Naruto while still maintaining his strength. "Come on, Dobe, is that the best you can do?" he asked, with Naruto locking eyes with him before he smirked. "No chance in hell," Naruto said as he put more strength behind his sword. "I just need to get you off guard, like so," he said as he allowed his strength to drop and allow Sasuke to complete his slash. Except the white-haired teen's body left the area. Sasuke then back-flipped into the air, as Rebellion's blade appeared where he once stood, Naruto snarling as he saw his would-be sneak attack fail. He then brought Rebellion behind his back in his left hand to block Alastor from behind, Sasuke appearing to hold the sword in a double-handed slash. Naruto then sent his right arm forward, causing Sasuke to quickly jump away, already seeing the teen making a Rasengan. Sasuke landed about 20 yards away from the white-haired Hokage with a deep smirk on his face, while looking himself over and saw that his cloths took on some damage from the fight so far. He then looked over at Naruto and saw that he himself had cuts over his own clothes, along with some quick and brief breaths of air through his nose. To the normal human eye, they wouldn't be able to notice this action at all unless they focused mainly on that sight at hand, but due to him being a Sharingan holder, and a master of it at that, he was able to see everything that was going on with Naruto's body, with his eyes focused solely on him, and him alone. "Are you all right, Dobe? You appear to be tired. Would you like to rest for a few minutes?" he said with a smug smirk on his face, causing Naruto to smirk as well since he already could tell that Sasuke knew he was slightly tired. After all, when you come into this battle after fighting an army of Oto shinobi, a fucking magma dragon, a demonic ancestor, and a fresh half-devil in back-to-fucking-back sessions, then you are bound to be a little tired. Kyuubi was already working hard enough as it is to keep his body strong and energized, consistently pushing its chakra into certain areas of his body to keep it from giving out and failing him. Plus, he was already over-abusing his half-devil bloodline's healing powers, constantly having it keep his muscles loose so he can move at his highest speed and fight as if he too was fresh. Not to mention the constant replenishing of his chakra tanks. It's hard enough to keep up with him as it is, but it will be even harder once we start dishing out the ninjutsu. Naruto thought to himself before a smirk came upon his face as he straightened himself up and spoke. "The only thing I would like is the honor of dragging your sorry ass all throughout this place before I go home to be with my future wives," Naruto said, with Sasuke chuckling at him with purple chakra starting to surround him. "Don't worry, Dobe, I'll be sure to send them to you after I kill them," he said, with Naruto also smirking as gold chakra began to surround him as well. "Well then, since you're so confident in yourself, come at me then," Naruto said as both teens stood before each other with their eyes focused on their opponent. They stood still for a few moments before Naruto's hand twitched, causing Sasuke to throw a kunai at him. Naruto easily dodged the kunai before forming a Rasengan in his right hand and sent it forward, while Sasuke appeared in front of him with a Chidori in his left hand. Both techniques then preformed the familiar clash that has been performed a multitude of times, with the same struggle they always held, but this time the results were a large explosion that covered them both in huge puff of black smoke that obscured their vision of each other for but a moment, until that was blown away by the boys' throwing of projectile weapons while standing nearly 15 yards away from each other. The appearance of skid marks on the ground being an obvious indicator that they were blown away by the backlash, but not enough to knock them off their game. Both teen cages continued chucking shurikens at each other at speeds close to 0.4 seconds, with more coming out while littering the ground they stood on. neither one letting up their fierce use of their weapons, until they both then pulled out a kunai and chucked it at each other while calling out Mass Kunai Shadow Clone Jutsu. Upon calling out the name of their techniques, the kunais all multiplied from 1 to 1 million, in a fraction of a second, each one on a collision course to the million before them. Both teens then vanished from their spots, and reappeared in front of each other within half a second, with the kunais now heading straight for them. Both teens, however, appeared to be oblivious of this, as they both raised their swords in the air to take a quick slash at each other, while the walls of death closed in on them. "Rah!" both teens yelled as they clashed their swords. A massive force appeared and knocked the kunais, of course, and causing them to float aimlessly in the sky, with the jutsu beginning to cancel itself out, but not before both Naruto and Sasuke separated from each other with their free hands open behind their back. At that moment, 2 kunais landed perfectly in their hands, but not before being thrown immediately afterwards, with the same result occurring with both kunais hitting each other, each one ascending into the air in perfect unison with each other. Both teen Kages quickly followed after their kunais, each one using the still falling kunais as stepping stones to help them ascend into the air. They both then grabbed hold of their respective kunais before immediately using them, both holding them in a reverse grip and sending them forward to clash hard with the other one. Another summoning of force appeared again, and knocked the remaining kunais in the air towards the ground, turning the ground into a graveyard of kunais and shurikens. They both then glared at each other before they separated again, while performing corkscrew spin in the air, and chucking the kunais at each other again, the results remaining the same, except this time the kunais flew downward. The 2 cages continued to spin towards the ground, while simultaneously grabbing hold of the same kunais again, in a feat of impossibility. Both teens then landed hard on the ground, skidding along the purple surface before once again throwing the kunais at each other, but this time they followed closely behind them. The kunais once again flew on their directed paves to their hated enemies, but instead of clashing in the air like all the previous times, they simply passed by without so much as a meet and greet. They then sailed towards their opponents, who quickly caught a hold of both of them in the reverse grip again. They then appeared before the other once more while sending the kunais forward. The moment the knives touched again, they shattered upon contact, rendering them useless to their owners. Naruto held onto Sasuke's smoking kunai handle, along with Sasuke doing the same, both teens holding a look of absolute focus. They then spared a passing glance to each other before they silently nodded towards each other, before they once again vanished from sight. The only thing heard was the sound of booming echoing all throughout the area, both teens proving that they have only just begun to fight. Human world. The village or Otogakure was now laid in siege to the army of Konoha, as the majority of the remaining forces were taken out by the assault of Seiyun, and the 3 Kage-level shinobi riding on its back. None of them saw it coming, and as a result they were slaughtered. When the remaining forces attempted to escape in the surrounding forest, they too were eliminated by the power of the Konoha-Suna alliance. The shinobi of the alliance all shouted in joy as they finally took care of their hated enemy, and could now rest easier knowing that they took care of one of them. But as they were cheering, the former Rookie 11 were currently looking towards the sky, watching the eclipse leave the atmosphere and the portal threatening to close. They each looked towards the sky, each one wondering what was taking Naruto so long to return. He should have been back by now. They continued to gaze up in the sky, and it wasn't long before the other shinobi saw this and they too looked to the sky. They all then just stared at the sky and continued to wait to see what would come out of this demon world. The battle continued on, with both participants fighting at speeds going so fast that their chakra clung onto them like armor, their combined speed causing a high-pitched wail through the wind, and just imagine the fight scene between Takashi and Cunningham during the Season 1 finale of IGPX, and if you didn't watch that show then it sucks to be you. They continued to trade blows with their swords, keeping a constant focus on their enemy while failing to notice that they were now near an unknown location that was adjourned with multiple ruins of Roman-style buildings and shrines. The perfect place to finish this fight. Sasuke and Naruto soon appeared on top of a giant pillar with Rebellion and Alastor interlocked in a battle for dominance. Both boys continued to push each other back before they separated before jumped back from their respective enemy. Sasuke placed Alastor on his back before blazing through several seals and called out Fire Release Massive Torrent. He then exhaled a large torrent of flames that flew towards the white-haired teen, who just hopped to the side to dodge the fire before going through a set of seals himself, calling out Fire Release Fire Dragon Bullet. He shouted as he exhaled his own blast of flames that took on the shape of a dragon. Sasuke immediately jumped into the air in avoidance of the technique, but before he could prepare a counterattack on the white-haired teen, he was already done preparing a second one himself, calling out, "Wind release, roar of the Beast King," he said as his belly puffed up before coming out in the sound of an exploding roar that caught Sasuke by surprise and knocked him out of the air. The raven-haired Otokage immediately regained his composure by spinning in the air and chucking Alastor towards another pillar. The sword embedded itself into the pillar as the Uchiha continued his spin in the air before he landed perfectly on top of his sword. He then grabbed the handle before jumping into the air as Naruto appeared before him, taking a wild slash with rebellion and causing a large slash mark to appear on the wall of the pillar. The white-haired teen scowled loudly before he backflipped off the pillar with another torrent of flames flying above the location he once stood. The white-haired teen landed on top of another pillar before he began to backflip his way up to the top, fireballs hitting the areas that he once remained until he made it to the top of the pillar and quickly sliced through the last one. "Come on, Uchiha, can't you do better than that?" Naruto asked as he looked towards the Uchiha, and to his slight surprise he saw the now adorned with a set of black gauntlets, along with a set of black wings adjoining his back. Sasuke smirked as he showed off his own devil arm to the white-haired half-devil. "You like it, Dobi? I call this baby Exia, and it holds quite the nifty abilities such as these," he said, as he held up his palm and sent another blast of fire from his palm, causing Naruto to once again slice through it. "So is that supposed to scare me? Because it's not," Naruto said as he summoned his weapon Arios, allowing Sasuke to see his wind-based gunner-style devil arm. "This baby is called Arios, which allows me the ability to use the wind as my weapon," he said before he reached behind his back and pulled out Angel and Reaper, along with the spines on his back following his commands, and separated themselves from his back. Sasuke looked in confusion before Naruto pulled the trigger, and then suddenly saw the blast of wind leaving his weapons, causing quick alarm to resound in him and barely dodging the blast. The Uchiha was luckily able to dodge all the shots fired but didn't come out completely unscratched, as his arm and leg got nicked by the razor-sharp wind. He quickly regained his composure from the surprise shots by the white-haired teen, and countered with a blast from his gauntlet, which Naruto also dodged with ease. The white-haired teen then charged at Sasuke, who fired several consecutive shots towards him but each one was easily dodged, until Naruto saw that he had a clear enough shot to fire several rounds at the Uchiha. Sasuke dodged each of the shots fired with ease, but before he had the chance to prepare for his next attack, Naruto appeared before him and sent a forward punch. Sasuke dodged to the side and sent a high kick to the Namikaze's head, which he ducked under, but instead of following with a punch like he normally would, he instead jumped back a little, causing Sasuke to look on in surprise, before seeing Naruto pull out his guns and take aim. "Do you honestly believe that you can hit me with that little blast of wind from that distance?" he said with Naruto smirking. "No, but those will," he said, causing Sasuke's eyes to widen before he looked up slightly and saw that the spines Naruto used now surrounded him. "What the?" He couldn't even finish as Naruto pulled the trigger. "Gotcha, bitch," Naruto said as the spines fired the wind blast, each one hitting their target due to the closeness they exhibited. A small dust cloud picked up around the areas that the blast hit, covering the view of the Uchiha. Naruto then looked into the sky and saw Sasuke currently airborne, with Alastor in the air and lightning building up around the sword. "Lightning release, lightning wave cannon," he called out as he brought Alastor downward, causing the lightning to shoot off the sword and head towards the white-haired teen, who rolled to the side to dodge the blast before he brought up his right arm, sending a blast of wind towards the Uchiha and knocked him out of the air and into the floor below. The Uchiha quickly got back up to his feet and caught the sight of Naruto going through several seals, causing him to quickly do the same and form several seals of his own, until the both ended in the Tora seal. "Fire release, Grand Fireball Jutsu," they called out, exhaling the huge fireballs from their mouths towards the other. The flames met in an enduring battle of dominance, but wouldn't last but 10 milliseconds, as Sasuke's left eye then leaked the familiar red liquid of blood. "Amaterasu," he called out, as the flames shot out from his eyes and began to not only infuse with the flames, but it literally began to consume the flames that came from the boys' respective jutsus. Naruto quickly cut off the flow of chakra into his jutsu and jumped back from the intense heat the black flames produced. Sasuke then quickly extinguished the flames with his Mangekyou before it had the chance to spread and cause them to change locations again. He then looked towards his hated enemy with glee as he wiped the blood off from under his eye. "Can't you see it by now, Doba? I'm too powerful for you to underestimate," he said with a smirk deep on his face. You honestly believe that that crap is enough to prove your power? Please man, I've taken a dump that's worse than that. Naruto said with Sasuke scowling before another smirk came to his face. Hey Dobe, do you want to know how I survived the assault from Satachi? He asked with Naruto placing rebellion on his back. I could care less about that, just get to whatever point you want to show me, he said with Sasuke shaking his head. Don't be so impatient, I'll gladly get there, but you have to listen first because this is something that will help me win this battle, he said with Naruto's arms still crossed. Then get started before I take this sword and turn you into a human shish kebab, Naruto said with Sasuke laughing slightly. Very well then. It's true that Sotachi nearly killed me when he and I held a brief confrontation, but what happened afterwards was when I awakened a new power. This power quickly flooded my system in a matter of seconds and I felt completely rejuvenated afterwards along with more power than I could possibly fathom. Enough power to help me rid the world of your existence and further enlist me as the future king of Earth, he said before power exploded from his body in a dome of power before his form changed into a humanoid bat demon. And when you think of this form, try to image the Majin form that Dante used in DMC1. He then laughed a little before he spoke again with a demon-hyphenated voice. You see this? Take a long gander at this power and churlish in the might of my power, he said with a loud yell but was only met with the sound of a long sigh from Naruto before seeing the white-haired teen look at him in boredom. That's it? Dude, you truly are a boring guy if that's the best you can do, he said before he himself turned into his devil trigger, causing Sasuke to tense up slightly as he felt Naruto's power match up to him very quickly. The white-haired half-devil then grabbed hold of Rebellion and pointed the blade towards the Uchiha. It's time to shake things up again, he said before both he and Sasuke charged at each other and continuing their great fight. In a burst of speed, both half-devils began their fight again, the heat turned up once more, and both showing skills that far exceeded that of Kage-level shinobi. Both teens fought well within their full demon's forms, neither one wanting to allow the other an opportunity to take them out. Sasuke moved in high speeds, delivering slashes and blasts of fire towards Naruto, who used his swift cunning to dodge and set up small openings to take advantage of the fight. Naruto and Sasuke were once again mere blurs in the air, trading blows between one another, while also streaking through the air in the form of highlighted chakra armor. Huge sparks escaped with each clash of the sword and each punch they sent towards the other, while also marveling at the power their opponent was displaying, and even the fact at how evenly matched they were in every area. They knew that they were each other's natural enemies, seeing as how they each held such a natural hatred for each other that even the thought of just being within the vicinity of the same village irritated them to the point of rage. That was how things were. Both teens appeared before the other in another sword clash, with one trying to overpower the other in another feat of strength. Why don't you just die already, you bastard? Sasuke yelled in a bit of rage as he tried to push forward. You first, asshole! Naruto yelled back before he suddenly began to push Sasuke backwards before knocking the Uchiha off his feet and land on his back. Naruto then appeared over Sasuke with Rebellion in a downward stabbing position and sent the sword downward, only for Sasuke to trip Naruto up before he brought up his left arm to fire a fireball, only for Naruto to vanish again and reappear on the other side of the roof while going through some seals. I've been waiting a long time to use this technique. It's something that I've been saving just to use on you, the teen said, as he finished his seals and ended with his palms, black flames erupting from his palms and the ground around his body. You're not the only one, Dobe. For I too have been saving up a jutsu to use just on you and you alone, he said as he also went through several seals before ending with his palms clapping loudly, lightning building itself around him and his hands in a strange preparation for a technique. Both teens built up their techniques for several seconds, until they both suddenly moved their hands in front of their bodies, the techniques immediately launching themselves towards each other. Kill him, Kirin! Obliterate him, Entei! The moment the attacks clashed, a great explosion rocked the entire foundation of Demon World and destroyed the building under the feet of the two shinobi. Human World. Everyone from the Alliance remained as they watched the moon leave the atmosphere completely, and now left the demon portal unsupported, and was now slowly closing. All of them had their fingers crossed in the hopes that their leader would return, one in specific being Hinata, as her hand remained on her stomach that now held their would-be child. All she could do was hope for the best, as she imagined life with her soon-to-be husband, and their would-be child in the years to come. Come back to me, Naruto-kun. she thought as she continued looking towards the sky like everyone else. Demon world. The smoke that covered the plain was staggering, and hid the view of both warriors. The destruction that lay amongst the ground was piles upon piles of rubble from the structure that both teens managed to destroy due to their unwillingness to allow one to gain the upper hand. The smoke lasted for several seconds, until it began to slowly clear up to reveal Naruto and Sasuke standing, while taking in hard breaths at the same time, both out of their devil trigger. Neither teen took on as much damage as they could have in the explosion, but both did take a large damage to their chakra tanks, as both barely had enough to even walk. Both boys then looked up at each other with deep smirks on their faces before they began to chuckle, which quickly turned into full-blown laughter. It looks like we are still at an even standing with all this crap we keep dishing out. Eventually we'll be stuck here, Naruto said with Sasuke nodding his head with a smirk before he held up his hands to prepare some seals. Fine dope one last time? He asked as he closed his right eye and focused as much chakra as he could into his left eye while still performing the seals. Of course, one last time, Naruto said as he held up his arms and began to focus his chakra. Sasuke finished his sealing and grabbed hold of his left arm, bringing the familiar sound of chirping birds to his hand, but the lightning took on a strange black color with flames coming out of the base of the attack. Naruto focused his chakra into both hands, causing a large gold orb to appear in his hand with 4 long-bladed edges jutting out of the sides with a second orb in the center that was black in color. It looks like I wasn't the only one to upgrade my favorite technique, Sasuke said as he held on to the strongest version of his favorite technique. Of course I would upgrade my pop's technique. After all, I have to add some of my own flair into this baby, but I will admit that yours looks a little sicker compared to my own, Naruto said, giving his first and only compliment to his hated rival. This will be the last time. The last time our jutsus will clash, both teens said as the sound of their techniques were currently overlapping each other, with the sound coming from Naruto being that of a Category 5 hurricane, and the sound coming from Sasuke being that of screeching birds under a crackling flame. My flames will burn you to ash. My razor-sharp wind will slice you to pieces, they said as they held up their techniques, with each one fully prepared to fight against their opponent and bring in the victory. So much rode on their last technique for both teens, as Naruto needed this so that he can be with his future family, and for Sasuke to regain all that was taken from him. Both teens looked at each other for a mere few seconds, before they both charged at each other while screaming the other's name. Naruto, Sasuke, they yelled as they neared each other within 3 seconds, each one extending their arm forward while calling the name of their technique. Blaze release Black Soul Chidori, Sasuke yelled as he extended his arm forward. Wind release Solar Flare Rasen Shuriken, Naruto yelled as he extended his arm forward. Both techniques clashed and held a brief struggle before a blinding white light overcame the view of both teens, with one of their techniques losing the battle against the other. And guys, this is the end. I hope you guys enjoyed it well. Until next time, peace.